Good morning, social media breakfast. How are you? Sorry for the delay in starting. Hopefully you're out there. And I'm just going to wait for you guys to join in. So this is Cami. I'm Cami Hoyza, and I am the leader of Social Media Breakfast of Houston and the host. And I am just coming in. I need to go ahead and start it. Our speaker's not quite here yet, but that's okay because I want to talk to you a little bit about this building word of mouth and sort of what that entails. And so I'm going to go ahead and just get started. And then as he joins us, hopefully he will join us. But even so, I think it's great for us to have this conversation because one of the things that people think about influencer relations is that it has to do with like a perfectly curated Instagram feed, and you have to go, get somebody who has all of that. But what we're going to be talking about here today, and hopefully Neal will join me, I'm going to see if he actually gets back to me here in a minute, is that influencer marketing isn't just for this B2B brand, B2C brands that have a lot of money and that are trying to attract people like by putting a product placement. I think those things happen and they're great in the right context, in the right place. But most people don't always get that. So Neal's here, so I'm going to bring him in. But that is really what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm really, really excited to introduce you to Neal because he's written an entire book about this. He's put a lot of time and effort into thinking about these issues. And I'm really excited to have him here today. So I'm going to bring him on in. Hi, Neal. How are you doing?
Hey, Cami. How's it going?
Really good. Good. So glad to see you. So I was just kind of letting them know that this is not going to be your mama's influencer relation topic. I don't know, something like that. And my computer's being really laggy today. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit. But just kind of starting out, what got you interested in the influence part of social media? Like what got you interested in that?
Well, as a speaker consultant, I've always been drawn by the questions that I get, after giving a speech or just feedback, right? And I noticed back in 2017, 18 that the questions I used to get about sort of like social media marketing ROI and then general social media marketing technology suddenly changed into influencers. Like, what is influencer marketing? How to leverage it? How do I become an influencer? Because most of these people are marketers working with brands and they saw some influencers do very, very well. So that really led me on this journey. I test marketed a book idea, like on a Kickstarter type platform. It went really well. So that gave me the validation that the book needed to be written. And I realized that, I believe that PR professionals, marketers were just being misled on the topic, that the media was dominating this picture of brands, throwing billions of dollars at people that are just have fake followers and vanity metrics and the whole bit. So in undoing that, I realized that, influencer marketing really taps into a lot of different things. But some of those things, when I started to re-engineer what influencer marketing really was, I realized that I had been doing it and most companies are probably doing it without knowing that they're doing it. And that's what really got me excited. And then I realized that it can tie into things like employee advocacy. It could tie into things like brand advocacy. So that led me to believe that really this should be a whole, a channel. If you look at sort of from a digital marketing perspective, the different things brands are doing, this is just a whole area of really really a people-focused investing in people to enhance word of mouth around your brand. So that really got me excited because no one was framing influencer marketing in such a way.
No, and I love what you said about you started on a Kickstarter platform. Talk a little bit about that. So I think some people here might be really interested in that. It was a really interesting thing you did.
Okay, so if you're interested in writing a book, this only pertains to book, there is a platform called Publishizer. If you go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Neal Schaffer, you will see a video that I have with the founder, Lee Constantine, about how the platform works, how I had success with it. And if that is what you want to do, basically what Publishizer does, because it's focused on books, there are a lot of publishers, there are editors, proofreaders, all different types of companies that provide services for authors that are basically watching, just like on Kickstarter, you have investors watching. On Publishizer, you have these types watching. And basically, you don't have the book written yet, but you want to validate the idea. You want to start to pre-sell, right? And unless it's on Amazon, you can't really pre-sell. Well, on this platform, you can. And basically, they take 30% of whatever you get. But it gives you the ability to have a call to action and test the idea and say, hey, this is the book idea. This is when I plan to write it. This is how much is completed. And you send people there, right? And you sort of gauge as to what people's interest is. Will they buy? And you make, just like Kickstarter, you make different plans. Like, hey, buy one book, you know, I'm going to sign it. Buy 3 books, you get this. Buy 10 books, you get this. And because I was a speaker, right? Well, you know, if you want to hire me to speak, why not, you know, buy the 250 book package, right? Which helped my sales as well. So yeah, I highly, highly, highly recommend. Writing a book is easier than you think. And there's, you know, I self-published my first book back in 2009. It is so, I mean, just like anything, it is so much easier today. And there are so many resources out there that can help you. There is no excuse not to write a book in 2021 if that is your fate.
If that's your fate. I love that you call it a fate.
I've been watching Vikings recently, so I'm all into fate. But anyway.
And I'm pretty sure some of the people in the audience really are people that might want to write a book at some point. So that's why I wanted to pause there and get that information from you, because I think it's interesting. Certainly let us know in the comments. You can comment, by the way, and we can see you. So definitely let us know if you're joining us today. My team is here too. So maybe if they can go find Neal's video about that would be great, and put it in the comments. That'd be awesome. And I will share it along. So let's get back to influencers and sort of where that came from. So
and
using
Cami,
social media to connect.
I don't want to interrupt you, but because this is social media breakfast, I actually brought my breakfast. It is 6:30 a.m. Right? I brought my breakfast with me. Yeah. Where I am, right? So I hope you don't mind if I'm eating my breakfast while we're talking.
Not at all. And I have my tea here. So
I figured that's what social media. So if you're curious, I have a bowl of oatmeal with blueberries and strawberries. It is the Trader Joe's rolled oats, just pure oatmeal. And and I had, by the way, I had the Johnson & Johnson coronavirus vaccine 2 days ago. So,
you're having your flu moment.
No, well, I had a really high fever the night before last. I woke up yesterday. The fever left about noon. I'm definitely not 100%. You know, this low-grade headache remains for a day or two. But anyway, so just to let you know, if I don't seem as energetic as I usually am, that's why.
No, yeah, I mean, and you're still pretty energetic for you. I mean, but that's you, Neal. You have a lot of energy. I've known Neal for a long time. So here's the thing, guys. Influencers are, you know, I think we think of them as like these people that we go get. And I've done a lot of influencer events here at Social Media Breakfast where we've taught you how to work with influencers, pay them properly, that kind of stuff, and make sure that you have the right, you know, things that they're talking about. But could you just give me a clue of, like, when you go out to find influencers, what are you really talking about? Now that your mouth is full, could you do that?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm only on my first bite. It'll get full soon. But influencers are, in essence, 2 things, right? They are social media users. They have a platform, and social media is their platform. We have influencers of the past, celebrities, right? Their platform was TV or radio. Today's influencers are social media influencers. Their platforms are TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, you know, Clubhouse, whatever it might be. So they have a platform, they have a community. And so that's number one, right? They have the profile, which builds the community, but what builds the community is content. So in essence, they are content creators, creating content around something. I mean, you could curate your way to becoming influential, but I would say 99% of people that we would consider influencers, they have a blog, they have a podcast, they have a YouTube channel, or they're really, really active on a given social media channel, creating content for that channel. So when you think about it that way, you know, as a brand, it's like, well, we want to get the word out about our product, right? What do we do? And we know that the algorithms favor people over brands. So we work together with social media users who are tapped into the community that we want to speak to, and we find a way to collaborate. So that's the way that I look at it, very, very holistically. It's not necessarily about numbers of followers. It might more be about relevance of what they talk about, relevance of their community to your product or service. And it's not necessarily about money, because not every influencer is in it for the money, right? They're in it for a lot of different things. For some, it's a side gig. For some, it is like full-time. But for others, maybe they want to get access to product, to customer service, to a unique event. That's why all these brands were sending influencers to, like, you know, Cambodia or exotic places. That's a pretty cool experience. I mean, I did that with Onetoone Airways. They sent me to Japan. You know, there was no money involved. So actually, what's really interesting, Cami, is over time, and I'd like to think that my book influenced this, but now a lot of brands and PR agencies, when they pitch influencers, one of the first questions they ask is, have you ever used this brand? And I can't believe they never asked that until recently. So now brands are waking up to the fact that if you can recruit someone that's an actual customer, right? You do your influencer research like before, but it's who you choose, the way you collaborate, and the vetting, right? And if they're already talking about your brand, you don't need to educate them. And in essence, when they post, it's going to be way more authentic than the cut and paste type of flaws that we've seen before. So, when you look at it that way, you begin to see influencer marketing very, very differently. So I put in the book, The Age of Influence, I talk about, well, this is the way the influencer marketing industry looks at it, which is just pure followers, pure Instagram followers. The way I look at it is brand affinity, right? So if the influencer marketing industry defines influencers as having more than 1,000, which is considered a nano influencer, how many people in your brand affinity sphere of influence, your followers, your fans, your customers, have over 1,000 followers, right? And the answer is really surprising for a lot of brands. I've worked with brands where they go through, they upload their customer database. There's various tools out there that you can use, but they upload their customer database like, wow, we have some verified Instagram users of, 6-figure follower users that are already our customers. Why aren't we engaging with them, right? Why aren't we creating a brand ambassador program? So I think that influencer marketing, the way I look at it, taps into a lot of elements that we've already been doing, but looking at it in a new and extremely impactful way.
No, that's really good. I love how you're saying that you should look at the people that are already your customers. I love that. And activating those people. You can get real super fans, I think, whenever you have your customers talking about you because they know your product. They love your product. I mean, I know that I talk about certain things all the time, like Canva, for example, or, all kinds of tools. And I think that that's really, really smart. I know that there are, so do you know what some of the tools are to find this out?
Yeah. So Cameron, I just wanted to mention at Social Media Marketing World last year, 2020, the last great one because of coronavirus, I actually had dinner with the product marketers from Cold-EEZE. And it was at the time where the CDC recommended, in order to prevent coronavirus, one of the things you can do is take, zinc supplements like Cold-EEZE. So they were like, their factories, I mean, they were sold out for months. And like, Neal, what do we do? Right. And they read my book, they bought it and everything I was saying. I said, look, take names, record who is talking about you. Right. You don't have to activate them now, but know that they're out there, keep an eye on. So when the time comes to begin a program, when we're in the clear, you'll be able to reach out to them. So, I think that finding people that are talking, this is social listening. It's what PR professionals, I mean, it all started with Radian 6, right? Back in the day. It's social listening tools, but really tapping into not about people, you should be doing this already, right? But it's looking at it in a new way. People that are talking about you, people that are mentioning your username, product name, brand name. It's stuff that you're probably already doing, but you're not necessarily doing anything with the data. You're not activating them. You're not putting them into a program, which is what I'm talking about. And when you put them in a program, that's when the excitement happens. That's when you truly have your own little network of influencers, your own little army of influencers, depending on the brand, that you can tap into. So start with social listening. Obviously, on any given platform, I know I look at Twitter and I know that there's some companies who segregate based on number of followers or what have you. And some brands think, oh, what a nuisance, all these app mentions I got to deal with. But think of every single app mention as an opportunity, right? You do not know what influence is lurking in those app mentions. We have no idea until we look at the profile and then we do a little bit of research. So probably a lot of you are already doing this. But yeah, that's really, the best way. Obviously, that's looking at it one way, looking at social media. The other way is to look at your email database. And looking at your email database, there are services. I've used a service that I like called Voila Norbert. I think the name is pretty cool. But basically, you're looking at an email appending service. And what an email appending service does, and it's GDPR compliant, by the way, But if you want to look into it, do your
So how
research.
do you spell it? Say it again so that we can
You know what is there? I am going to. Oh, I can't.
Yeah, you can type it. I don't know if you can type it in the comments, but if you type it for me, I can.
Yeah, I can type in the private chat.
Yeah, type it in the private chat and I'll put it in a banner.
So
that'd be perfect.
What voilanorbert.com does, some email marketing tools do this as well. But basically, it depends. It grabs the email address and it looks on social media for user profiles associated with that email address. So what it's doing is, based on public information, it's telling you so-and-so, your number one customer for your e-commerce shop is this person who has like 2 million followers on Instagram or what have you, right? That's what basically it does. So that's another, it's going to require a little bit of work on your hand to sort of do the math there. But that is another piece, just like with Facebook ads, you're looking at your website visitors, but you're also looking at your custom audience, your customer database. It's the same thing with influence marketing. Don't forget your customers. And then obviously you have your followers, right? You're going to have to dig deep into your followers. I'd recommend Twitter tools, but they sort of come and go because Twitter is getting a lot more stricter about API. So maybe this is, you hire a virtual assistant to go through, 100 followers a day. I don't know, right? But it is doable. But those are the sorts of things. Then you have your mentioners, your followers, and your customers all covered in one.
No, I love that. And keeping track of that and being able to do that. I know that in the past, we have done, you're right, the tools come and go, which is always difficult, right? I think that is one of the things that's really hard to deal with. But I think that there's some great ones out there. So I'm trying to, Follower Wonk is a good one. Followerwonk.com is a good one. I'm going to put some of these in the chat and I'll then pop them up onto the screen because I can do that. I know you can't. That's a little bit of a downfall of this platform, by the way. I would like it if they would let the speaker put something in the chat. So there's your Voila Norbert. That's cool. I'm really excited about that.
The ninja Twitter tool that I enjoy while it's still around is this tool called Twitonomy. And Twitonomy allows you to do a lot of cool things, like how often is someone tweeting a day? What are the hashtags that they use most often? What app are they using when they tweet? I've created a blog post, the top Twitter clients used by the top 50 Twitter influencers, where I've used data from Twitonomy to find what, are people using Sprout Social? Are they using Hootsuite? Are they using Buffer? But so that's a really, really cool tool to really dig deep into a single profile and find out more about them and their tweets and their followers.
I think I've actually spelled this right. Twitonomy, right?
You did? Mm-hmm.
Hey. Sometimes, you're winning, especially when you have really great oatmeal. Or
you get today's magic prize of 2 Tylenol.
Oh, geez. I'm very excited about that. I'm getting my second shot of Pfizer on Monday. So
your first one went okay, I take it?
It was fine. Yeah. It was perfectly fine. And then we've got Follower Wonk, which is awesome for Twitter. Again, we're talking about different tools for different things, but Twitter, Follower Wonk is good because you can put it like you can look at different accounts. So I can look at my account against your account, Neal, and see where we overlap. It's very cool. And it also shows you your followers by how active they are, when they were last active, how many followers they have. They also have their own influencer ranking, I guess you could say. So yeah, I don't know, they all do it differently, right? So it depends on how you look at that.
And there's another one called Tweepy that
I've seen that.
Yeah, Tweepy used to have a lot of really, really cool automations that they had to take out, but in terms of like Twitonomy, looking at your Twitter followers as a database, Tweepy is still a great tool. So there you go.
There you go. Tools for all of that. So let's talk a little bit then about like now you've got a list of them, right? So we were talking about Twitter. I think the only one there that was one that does them all is this one, right? This is the does it all one.
Voila Norbert is an email appending service. It's not
email appending, which I knew there used to be an email service that I had. You could buy credits and get that, put on. And
they use services like this in the background. Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of companies use this where they get an email address, but they don't know what company they work for or their title.
Mhm.
So this will go to LinkedIn, find them, and then append it with demographic information. Or they'll try to find public information like, did they vote Democrat or Republican? What zip code did they live in? What is their annual income? So there's a lot of, when you get to that point about, consumer privacy and GDPR, to me, it's sort of a question mark, but they're just taking whatever public information's out there. So keep that in mind.
Right. And it may come to where we can't do this anymore. So I just think that, day by day, this stuff is going away. I know that Twitter took away demographics, for example.
Which is why you always want to do it now.
Do it sooner than later. Yeah.
I mean, us having been around for so long, we know, right? When it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
It is too good to be true. I'm like, that's awesome. I'm like, after this show, I'm like,
exactly.
Putting my email list in. Although, how you use it is the key too. So that being said, again, the traditional influencer relations, you find an influencer, you work with them. Hopefully you've done your homework. You've figured out that they're a customer, they're this, they're that. Maybe you do a class. So let's talk about how you work with them once you know who they are.
So I have since we're talking on the subject, this is the book, obviously, but I have a full chapter on like the 16 or 17 different ways that brands work with influencers, because there are a lot of different ways to work together. But I think it really begins, every marketer wants to scale this. Every PR professional, and it's a convergence, right? Because both sides are sort of doing it. Every PR professional understands it requires a one-to-one approach. And what I'm recommending is a one-to-one approach, because you do not know what they want until you actually reach out to them, until you say, hey, we're launching a brand ambassador program. We know that you're a great fan of the brand. We want to really celebrate our fans. What can we do in this program that would make you want to become part of it? And this is the thing, I tell you, my company banks with Bank of America. So they invited me to like their small business advisory. And all it is answer questions of the survey and you'll get bonus points. I mean, like every month, and it's complete BS, right? And then Vistaprint recently invited me to their like VIP premium customers. And it's promos for new stuff they're putting out. That is not a brand ambassador community, people, right? That's not what I want. So, I mean, it's nice to know that I'm being heard. So at first it's really cool. But then after that, it's like, nah, this is just promo. So it's having a one-on-one conversation. You're not looking at creating this at scale. You can scale this, but at the beginning, you need to know what is in it for them. And, this, now we look at different industries. B2C is going to be very different than B2B. B2B is going to be very content focused, right? Focused on, blog, might be YouTube, might be speaking at an event, or might be a webinar, ebook, white paper, content specific. Hey, can we do it together? Will you be a guest at our webinar? Will you guest blog on our blog? Or, hey, we're reaching out to 10 influencers for a roundup post. These are all examples of influencer marketing. So in that case, that definitely does not necessarily have to cost money. But if you were to go up to a guy Kawasaki and ask him to be on your webinar, it's probably going to cost money, right? So degrees of influence also matter here. And you don't have to go after the most influential New York Times bestselling author to have impact, right? So that's one way. B2C, obviously, where I think a lot of B2C starts actually is free product. Is, hey, we know you're a customer. We just came out with a new product. We just want to send you a bunch. We know that you love to post our stuff on Instagram. When if and when you post about this, please let us know what you think. Please tag us. And that's really where it starts. But where B2C is finding great utility in engaging with influencers, and in this case, brand ambassadors, is in content creation. Because in general, brands suck at content creation, visual content creation we're talking about here, right?
Well, and they're limited. Okay, so you could say they suck, but they also don't have as much, they're not out in the world enough. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know, but look, they have the resources to be able to out-influence anybody out there, right? Any TikToker, any Instagram, but they don't, they can't, they won't. For that reason, Cami, they're also very ROI focused. They're focused on different things, right? They want to talk features instead of lifestyle.
Yeah. Right. So true. It's so true. Instead of what the problem that they're solving even is really like focusing on the fun or whatever.
And that's where you begin with sort of like free product. And the first influencer campaign that I did on behalf of a client, it was mommy bloggers. It was just before Instagram was really booming. So it was mommy bloggers instead of Instagram. But the creatives that they took of the product in action with their children were way better, right? Every single image. In fact, my client was using stock photos. It was pretty clear. Yeah, I mean, every image, and there were some beautiful images. So these people as content creators are really amazing about showcasing your product in a way that's very natural for social media users. It doesn't look like an advertisement. So giving free product, looking at the creatives, but then going, instead of like us creating this content ourselves, why don't we just hire influencers to create content for us? And that's
what they've done.
Yeah,
that's what they've done.
Exactly.
100%. And that's why you pay them, because I mean, they're taking pictures and they're actually acting like consultants in large part. You know what I mean? I mean, fans and consultants, which makes the content even better. You brought up Radian 6 earlier, which is funny because it was one of the first social media measurement or tools out there. And I was at a PRSA conference many, many years ago. And Dave Alston and who was it? Dave, well, they were there. Radian 6 was there. And I was tweeting up a storm at the time. It was Twitter. Oh my gosh, this is like over a decade ago, right? So tweeting up a storm, and they noticed that, and they came and they talked to me about it. And then they said, hey, we want to start just an advisory committee. So that was their way of doing it. They said, let's do an advisory committee. So they gave me access to the tool. And then they wanted input and feedback from people like me. And so it was really fun because eventually they got bought by Salesforce, which most of you know who that is now. But it was a really interesting way. And they really took advantage of that. They saw who was kind of standing out. And it was not just me, it was other people that they brought in too, and who was standing out. And then they used that as a way to like launch their platform. And honestly, I think it worked pretty well with a big buyout from Salesforce. They got a good exit.
They drunk their own medicine, right? And that's an easy thing. Instead of looking at every social media user as money, of actually offering something like that, there are a number of tools companies. I tend to, speak and blog, and I used to have my own conference called the Social Tools Summit, all about, marketing technology. So there are a number of tools companies that basically offer me lifetime access. And why wouldn't they? Because I'm naturally going to talk about the tool and I'm going to give them valuable input. And they know that I'm going to refer way more people. They're going to make up that cost in no time. So it's really funny when on the tool side, these companies reach out to me, hey, we have an affiliate program. Well, sorry, I'm not interested in that, right? Or, hey, we'll give you a 7-day free trial. It's like, I go to your website, I can get a 7-day free trial. There's nothing special there. So, that's a really, really specific example. Or if you say, hey, we'll give you a lifetime, let us know what you think, no strings attached. We'd be honored by your feedback, right? Just the approaches that you can take, it's like an art. There's so many different ways you can frame things, but the more open you are in that initial conversation where you're setting the guidelines, I think is really the important thing. And as a brand, you have a lot to offer. You have a tool or you have a product. You have, for instance, do you have a studio, like a video studio? Boom. How many YouTubers would love to have access to a video studio to use, for instance? And it's funny because at Social Media Marketing World, I was talking to a video technology company in the Bay Area, and they were like, man, how do we work with influencers? And like, you're a video company, you have a video studio, you can create and edit videos. I mean, that is an amazing thing that you can offer people. Or
and I would love to hear from people that are on the call to or that are watching. Throw us like a tough one. Like, how could you use an influencer for this? So I do want to say how I would like to do that in a few minutes, Neal, if you don't mind, where we just kind of fire back to them how they could use that. I think that would be kind of a fun one. Sorry to interrupt, but I think that would be really useful because I know some of you are thinking, well, but this isn't for me, and I'm not sure how I would do it. So definitely send us in, like, give us an industry. Give us a product, tell us, or a service, or anything that you're doing, and let us know, and we'll be glad to do that. So Tracy is, she's put up your email or your website here. So Tracy put up her website,
Tracy.
And I think on the website you can get those 16 ways, right? Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's in the book.
Huh? It's in the
It's
book,
in the
yeah. So you can either buy the book or whatever, but I think you can get on a list there too if you want to get information from Neal. So definitely go there. Did you have something there that they download? I forget what you had on there, just the books.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? One second here. I'm gonna pull up handy dandy URL and I'll put it in the comments there.
Thank you. I think that would help. I just want to make sure that they get something from you because I know you've got a lot of resources that I want them to make sure they get a hold of. So I will make sure we put that up there. So that being said, I mean, honestly, the next thing is you've got your influencers in place. You were saying how you pay them. One way is to give them access to the tools or your product or your service or whatever. Another way is to pay them like directly. So like people will pay you to come speak at their company or whatever. So can you tell us another couple of ways that you would remunerate or, make it worth their while?
So I talked about affiliate, right?
Mhm.
And I think that when you work with influencers who have a big community who are introducing a product, right? You're giving them products they can post. You're paying them to create content, or you're paying them to post. And those are two different things, because when you're paying them to create the content, they aren't necessarily posting that content. You're looking at an influencer as a content creator, not an amplifier of content in social media. So right
Got it.
there, you already have a few different ways. You have the affiliate marketing model, which for some people, that's great, but you'd probably want to give them a higher commission than you give everybody else. You also have, and this is often used together with affiliate marketing, is the discount code. So, hey, if you buy, Harry's shaving cream, from using my link and using this code, which says Neal 50, you'll get 50% off. So discount codes are huge in this business as well, especially for B2C.
Yeah, discount codes for people that are watching the influencer so that they can bring
Exactly.
to their audience.
It's a win-win-win, right? Because the brand gets a benefit, the influencer gets a benefit, and their community gets a benefit. And it's really thinking about, the community. An influencer talking about her brand is only half the battle. What's the incentive for the community to actually want to buy your product above and beyond what the influencer is talking about it? So this just locks in another. It also locks in a way to measure the campaign, but it locks in just another incentive that hopefully will actually prompt more sales. So these are more of the, the traditional way. There's the old, and talking about mommy bloggers is giving a product for a review, which is very common in the blogging world up until now. So right there, you already have like 6 different ways, right?
Yeah.
And then, the other thing is,
Although let me stop on the product for review, because sometimes that's a little bit tired and overused, and you can get like I've heard the a mommy and parenting blogger groups really disparage some brands that are doing this. So you've got to be careful how you do it. I'm going to say that too. So approach with care on like that, because you give them like a $2 product and you're like, hey, I want you to give me this hashtag and these 3 photos and this thing. And so the demands have to match the remuneration.
And guess what? It's the same mistake that brands are making with Instagrammers. You need to post 3 stories, 2 photos. You need to be in an aisle of Target holding a bottle of Tide with Chips Ahoy in your right hand. Make sure you use these 3 hashtags and these 2.
Yeah, it's crazy. And what's interesting, and I found this is to be true, because Tracy, who you saw on there, I used to do a influencer program for SeaWorld for a number of years, and we had a big group of mommy bloggers here in Texas that were part of that. And there was a lot that was in that program. It was a program, including like an annual conference that I put on for them, that gave them professional development, that let them connect with each other, that
Awesome.
like made this like more like a family. I mean, it was that's kind of how you can do it, is build it into a community, which is kind of what we did over a long period of time. I think I ran that for about, I don't know, 5-6 years. So
you should get in my book.
I know. Thank you.
Seriously.
So, but that being the case, you have like, you really have a community of people, and then that's another thing. I think that's another way that you can really help people, that they can be in contact with other influencers that are at the same level as them, so they can share information, they can talk about things, and so on. We have questions. I'm so excited about this. Let's start with Tracy's, and then we'll go to Chip, next. So Chip Griffin is here. So hi, Chip. And Tracy says, I'm relaunching my blog, updating from one of those mommy bloggers. Yeah, she is one of those. And launching a podcast on my 50th birthday. Yes.
Woo!
I am both the brand and the influencer. Any thoughts?
I don't understand
The question. Yeah, me either.
the brand and the influencer. So the brand is, do you have your own brand? So you're saying you have a company, you own a company that has a brand, and you're also a personal blogger, or?
She actually saying that her brand, I think she's going to be building like this new brand because she's been Star Tracy for a long time.
Okay.
Star in My Universe. She used to be an actress. I know a lot about her because she works for me. So all of that. And I don't know exactly what she's asking, but I would say, Tracy, you have a huge network of people already that are part of who you are. And they've actually already done this. They've got a Facebook group that's like over 40 women. You're starting to build your brand around the next chapter, I guess is the best way to put that. So I don't know.
To me, I look at that as a rebrand.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I've rebranded. I started out as Windmill Networking and Maximize Social Business and Maximize Your Social, and now I'm Neal Schaffer. So you just need to bring your network with you, and from there build something bigger and better. Tracy, if you have any follow-ups, let me know so I can better understand your question.
Yeah. She says she's moving more toward in irrational podcast and writings. Okay. I don't know what that means. Irrational.
Yeah. I have a lot of younger people reach out to me like on Instagram. Hey, Neal, how do I become an influencer? Mm-hmm. And I think the key thing is that I talked about the content creation. You got to be passionate about what you're doing because you're going to be talking about it for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. If you really want to gain influence, it doesn't happen overnight, right? But the other thing is, some topics will get you more opportunities than other topics, right? So imagine what brand would be interested in paying you money if you were to put out a YouTube video, if you were to, write a blog post. So what is that community that you're reaching? What are the demographics? What are the specialty? And so really, I mean, if that is something you'd like to do, I look at influencer marketing for 99% of people is nothing more than a side hustle. It's not going to, you're not going to make a full-time salary off of this. Some of you might get lucky, but if you look at it that way, who are the established brands in the market that if I build this community based on something I want to do, that might be interested in working together with me in the future? That'd be my advice.
No, I love that. So Chip says, hi, Chip. It's so good to see you here. Also an influencer himself in the area of helping small agencies to do great work. Thoughts on the level of editorial influence control that brands should exert over paid influencers. So we were talking about that a little bit a minute ago. So I would like to kind of dive back, and while you're chewing, I'll say this one thing, Chip, is the more you tell them what to do, the less authentic their content is going to be.
Yeah. Amen to that, Cami. I would just say, look, we already talked about brands suck at content. So you are now incentivizing either through product or money, a content creator who understands how to create content better than you can, who speaks to their community better than you can, who understands their community better than you do. And you're telling them what to do? That's wacko. That is a brand that does not really buy into influencer marketing. They just look at influencers as programmable ad units. Mm-hmm. So I would say now I think it's totally okay to say, hey, we just want to check your work before you publish. Mm-hmm. That's totally cool, right? But I think the more freedom you give them, the better content you're going to get. And the better the content, the more it resonates with the community, the bigger impact it has. It's a leap of faith that you have to take. And I wish more and more brands would take that leap of faith because many are still stuck in you need to do this, this, and this. But as Cami said, the more you ask, the ROI just gets less and less. The content gets worse and worse.
I totally agree. And we've spent a lot of money and a lot of time putting together a pretty good contract to work with influencers that I've worked with influencers, including our friend Tracy Deborah, who's a lawyer, who's also an influencer. But we've worked on some things that have gotten it to the point where we can use the content, but we don't own the content. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's like a use and own kind of situation too, because most really good influencers these days will not let you lock, stock, barrel own their content. They'll let you use it with certain things like attribution, kind of, Creative Commons sort of style. But they're not going to let you do much more than that. So you've got to think about who you're working with. We usually work with what Dave Sifry, who's an old school guy, used to call the magic middle, which is those people that are not millions and millions and millions of followers. We like to work in the 50, 60, 70, 125,000, the high, six figures is starts to get out of our reach. Do you know what I'm saying? So that high six figures is yeah, you're going to spend $1 million on one Instagram post. Is it worth it? Maybe if you are James Charles, you know what I'm saying? Maybe because he's got every single, speaking of affiliate marketing, everybody has given him their little affiliate code. And it's if you do James Charles in almost any makeup brand, this is the thing, you will get a discount. So just letting you know, older women like me, just put James Charles in, you might get a little bit of a thing. But the point is that there's not that many people like that, that can just demand one tweet or one Instagram post is going to drive a bunch of sales. So that's really not the point, right?
Yeah. I mean, the problem with, that pyramid of influence of the influencer marketing industry, we got the celebrities at the top, you got, the macro, the middle, the micro, the nano. The thing is, the higher you go up, the fewer people there are. Mm-hmm. So now in B2B, especially in very, very niche B2B industries, there aren't a lot of people talking about quantum computing, right? Or mm-hmm. quantum annealing, even more specific, I have a client that does. But when you get to people talking about hair care, there's a ton of them. So by looking at the micro and nano, by looking at people with fewer followers, there's just more of them out there. And what you're going to find is some people they love your competitor. Why would they want to work with you, right? Or the timing isn't right, or whatever it is. So just having a bigger pool of people to collaborate with, I think works to your advantage for a lot of reasons. If you only reach out to, now, Cami, you're very experienced in this, but if there's a new brand out there that's not experienced, they're not working with you, and they just out of the blue reach out to these influencers with, 100, 250,000 followers, the price tag is going to be very high, mm-hmm. and it's going to turn out to be a one-night stand. Right.
Yes. So it is. It's totally true.
Right. So totally by working with smaller influencers, it tends to become a tighter relationship. I think they're going to value you more. They're trying to work their way up the influencer pyramid of sorts. And you're going to get more attention because they're not used to all these brands just throwing a lot of money at them.
Right. And I'm always looking for talent, up and coming talent. And if you can catch them as they're up and coming, and then you can work with them, and you are actually giving them credibility by being a brand working with them, and they're giving you credibility, and it's sort of a win-win. And as they rise, because some of the people I work with, they've risen quite a bit, but they still work with us. They're good with their rates and stuff because they work with us. Not that they're cheap, because they're not. I'm just saying that we've grown together. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah.
And yeah, any influencer you work with, you want to make them more influential, because the more influential they are, the better it's going to be for your brand. So yeah, absolutely.
One of the biggest things I see brands that they don't do very well is that once these influencers, sometimes they're really great at getting something going, a campaign, the influencer shares their stuff, and then the brand doesn't share it on their own channels. They don't amplify it. You should be amplifying the heck out of that stuff. Even if they don't get any followers or any kind of engagement, you can take that and amplify it, and you'll get the engagement, and it'll make your stuff look more authentic. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. Credibility, right? And it's better content. In fact, this push to leverage influencers as content creators rather than content amplifiers, what we're finding is that the content of influencers or user-generated content, right, it will it outperforms branded content on social media posts, on social media ads, on digital ads, shopping carts, websites, whatever it is. You want to take advantage of that content and use it to the best of your ability. So just to pay someone to post it, it's really sad. You're really wasting a lot of potential. So at the upfront, as you were saying, Cami, rightfully so, you need to make sure it's written in the contract. that you're going to get access to all that. Especially the more money you pay, the more access I believe you should be getting to that content. If you're just giving away product, you know, and you might get it how much product, but yeah. So that's
if you hand them a product, the only thing you can ask them nicely is please use this hashtag so that we can see it and find it and measure it. But other than that, you really have no, in my mind, you know, leg to stand on. You have to be able to give them something in return. They don't, I mean, they have to feed their families. They have to like live. They're like, just like us. They're not just sitting around looking for free stuff to come in the mail. I mean, it's nice and everything, but after a while, after you've gotten about 50 or 60 free boxes of things, it kind of wears thin. It's not just that it's exciting for you anymore. It's that you're doing a job.
Yeah. And, you know, I get pitches. I signed up to a few of these platforms. So it's really fun to see the pitches that come in. Like, hey, we'll send you a $25 Amazon gift card. And I'm thinking, what professional's time and their sort of their credibility as a person and their friends seeing their content,
I know.
Who would put in, you know, time and effort and then follow all the instructions for $25 Amazon gift card? The economics don't make sense to me.
No, I mean, they don't make sense to most people. I mean, Amazon gift cards are fun. They're fun to get, but they're not something you're going to do a bunch of things for. I do find that that's true too for like the Amazon groups. You know, you get the give us a review, we'll send you an Amazon gift card, or give us a review, we'll send you another thing. That's for the average human that's on there. That's why we have all this junk, all these junk reviews.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, there's a lot of rules too. So working with influencers, you do have to disclose that you are working and you have a working relationship of some kind. FTC rules, I feel like I have to say that as we're talking about this, because I think that's one of the things that people leave out when they start working in the space, and they're like, oh, what, there's a rule? Yeah, there's a rule. Many of those of you who are listening here, the people who are in my tribe already know this because we've preached this like crazy. But if you're watching this video and you don't know me very well, you will know that I say that you have to use FTC guidelines, and you just Google FTC guidelines, and it's very, very well covered. They have a lot of information for bloggers and for influencers. So I think we're coming down to the hour. I can't believe it. This has been a fast and fun conversation, and you still haven't eaten your whole breakfast. So
almost done. I just want to eat the breakfast to get to the Tylenol.
Yeah, to get to the Tylenol. One of the things I will do probably here in just a few minutes. So do you go on Twitter anymore?
I do, of course.
Of course you do. So I've been doing spaces. Have you done any spaces yet?
I finally got access to it. I haven't. I've just been doing Clubhouse.
You've just been doing Clubhouse. I like Clubhouse, but I have an Android. So I have a iPod I go to Clubhouse on. So, you know, just because I have my phone in my hand, we've been doing spaces. And so afterwards, and you don't have to come, but we're going to jump onto space. I'm going to jump onto spaces so we can have an after chat about this, so that you guys that are out here can also connect with us and actually say things. I love to hear people's voices. I kind of miss that with the in-person stuff. I do. And it's a whole different audience too. But if you guys do have Twitter, all you have to do is go to Twitter and then go to, if you're following me, which you probably are if you're on Twitter and in my community. So if you're following me, all it is at the very top and it's on your phone. You have to go on your phone like that. And at the top, there's purple glowing signs. So I'm going to jump on to Twitter just right after this and just be there to talk. So I'd love to have a conversation. If you want to join us, Neal, I'd love it. I know you have things to do, but it's early in the morning in California. So thank you for getting up so early.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the invite.
I appreciate you so much. And please do go and grab his information. And I think I put that link up a minute ago, but I'll put it back up again. You can get a preview of his book at this link, nealschaffer.com/age-of-influence-preview. So please go and do that. The book is really great. And if you haven't read it, I have it on my Kindle. I actually have it as an audiobook too. It was really fun.
Oh, thank you.
So very good. Anyway, so please do go grab this because he's got some really great insights in there, plus some great ways you can think about doing this that we couldn't cover today. And that's it. And thank you so much for waking up, even though you're a little fluey from your Corona shot.
It's all good. I hope that everybody in my Facebook chat is saying the second shot's the worst. So I hope that you're okay. But I just plan to take it easy on Monday and Tuesday.
I will. I'll tell my team, hey team.
Seriously.
You're listening, right? Anyway, it's awesome. So thank you. And I'm going to kind of end this broadcast. And in about 5 minutes, I'll be over in Twitter. And if you guys want to drop by, I'd love to talk to you. And you don't need an iPhone. You just need to come over, and you don't need anything special. You just have to go onto Twitter. And you do have to do it on your phone, on the app. It only does it on the app. They did say, though, I'm going to say this before I go, on Spaces, that they're going to add it to the desktop for Spaces.
Nice. That would be a nice addition. I have found that I just looked around Spaces really briefly. It seemed a little bit more complex than Clubhouse.
What do you mean complex?
Just in terms of the operation from a moderator perspective. Did you find it?
Mm-hmm.
You find
it's a little different. I mean, you make a post, it makes a post. Where I'm getting very used to it, but it's just a little bit different. The big problem is you can only have one moderator at a time.
Okay.
That's the big problem. You can't just switch it off to somebody else.
I like that, because then you have all these moderators that, it's the whole game. There's people already gaming Clubhouse, as you know.
Yeah, it's a big game. It's a big game. I do like Clubhouse, but it's a big game. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean, just when you have people reaching out to you on LinkedIn, hey, I can get you, how many Clubhouse followers do you need? That whole fake.
They were actually selling Clubhouse invites on eBay. I'm not kidding.
I have 8 invites if anybody wants one, okay? Do not pay money for invites.
Yeah, I have some too. Just let me know. So anyway, all right. Well, take care. And I will talk to everybody soon over on Spaces if you want to come.
Thanks,
take care.